Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we're going over the Nelson, everyone's favorite Tier 7 free XP British battleship, as it is the only Tier 7 free XP British battleship at the time of recording. So the Nelson is returning for sale in the auction. Now, if you have never participated in the auction before, it's a mechanic that some have issue with, some don't. I'm one of the ones that don't, because the way the auction works is that they have a set price, well, a set minimum price for the items in question, and you can bid, for example, the Nelson. The minimum bid is 10,000 doubloons. So you can bid 10,001 doubloons, and that's it. You can bid up to 30,000 doubloons if you really want to. I think that's a little excessive for the Nelson, but you can do that if you want to. But either way, if your bid is not accepted as a winning bid, you get all of your doubloons back. So you haven't really lost anything. You can go spend those doubloons on whatever else you want in the game. So, but before you even get to that part of the equation of how much do you want to put down for the Nelson, you should probably answer this first question that's in the title of the video. Is the Nelson even worth it in 2022 in the current meta that we have in World of Warships and the current climate of matchmaking? Well, today we're going to take a look at the Nelson and hopefully help you answer that question. So as you can tell by the footage you're watching on the screen, I do have the Nelson. I picked her up back for free XP when she was available for free XP, which was a very low price of 375,000 free XP. I mean, I've got that sitting in my port right now, that and more. Granted, I am someone that plays this as a second job, but the amount of free XP you can get today is just stupid. Especially all the signal flags and special camos they've added to the game since the inception of free XP ships. It's extremely easy to build up free XP. I talked about this in my What the Hell Happened to Free XP Ships video. But yeah, so it's a fairly low price for a ship, at least back in the day. Of course, 10,000 doubloons as a minimum bid is, I'd say, fairly... Like, if they were going to sell it in the shop for like 10,000 doubloons, that's a steal. That's about $40 worth of doubloons, especially for a ship like this. But of course, you probably won't be able to pick it up for that much, but we'll see. But anyway, the Nelson. So this is a real steel historical ship. As I'm sure most of you are familiar with, there's a pair of Nelsons, the Nelson and the Rodney. These ships were built under the restriction of the Washington Naval Treaty, but they were allowed to have 406mm guns. They were part of the Big Seven, which were 7 battleships across the U.S., Britain, and Japan that were allowed to have 16-inch guns under the Washington Naval Treaty. And there's some interesting design features in the Nelson, a lot of which actually came from the ships we were talking about yesterday, the G3 battlecruisers. In fact, essentially, if you look at a Nelson, it's essentially a shortened G3. I mean, even if you look at the superstructure, the mast, even the placement of the guns, it literally is a shortened G3 with the C turret, or what would be the X turret, moved up to the C position. And it even uses that same armor layout. The concept of the turrets being so close to one another is that you only have to, of course, put the really heavy armor over the turret's barbettes, and then, obviously the belt armor too, in front of the, on the outside of those to protect the barbettes from, of course, enemy shells. And since you don't have turrets that are, 2 in the front of the superstructure and the third all the way in the back, you can use less material and make a lighter ship by having all those guns so close to one another, to where you can just heavily armor that one section of the ship and make a shorter armor belt overall. And that's what happened with the Nelson. Now, of course, the Rodney's probably one of the more famous between the two ships because of her participation in the sinking of the Bismarck, and how they somehow managed to get that ship to go faster than her test speeds and her design speeds, because, well, after you sink the hood, you don't just get away with that. And boy, it's amazing what the Royal Navy can do when they're incredibly pissed off. But anyway, the Nelson in game. So we're going to go through her stats and such here, as we normally do in these look back at videos. So let's start with the armor. So she is a Tier 7 battleship, so she has a 26mm bow and a 26mm stern. And she's coated with 32 in her midsections, her torpedo protection, and then her upper belt armor. But if we strip that away, we can see what is a fairly glaring weakness in that her citadel is high and dry above the waterline. And if you fought against Nelsons before, you know that these are not incredibly tough ships in game when you do run across them. Especially for her matchmaking too. She's at tier 7. Doesn't take, well, much at all for her to see ships that can overmatch her bow and stern. Especially, of course, when you get up tier to tier 8 and above, when you have plenty of 16-inch guns that really don't care about your bow at all. So that does hurt a lot. And look how much freeboard this ship has too. She sits way up high out of the waterline. So yeah, it's not that great there in the armor department. She's incredibly squishy. I'm sure you'll be able to deduce that yourself by watching this match I'm having in the background. First survivability, she has 59,400 hit points, which is, for a British battleship, about right for tier 7. And you do, of course, have the hood at 67,000 hit points, so that's the hood. Pretty decent hit points for a tier 7 battleship overall, though, if you ask me. 19% torpedo damage reduction, not great, but again, it's a mid-tier battleship. Now, her guns, this is where she really picks up. You get 9 16-inch guns with a 30-second reload time, which is very nice for tier 7. Again, 16-inch guns at tier 7. 9 of them! And these guns have 1.9 Sigma too, by the way. That's really good. Now, her dispersion, though, isn't that great. 225 meters maximum dispersion at 18.2 kilometers of range. So, as you can tell, too, the shells do more often than not go at what you're aiming at, and more often than not they will hit what you're aiming at, but you won't be landing all of them on the same target every salvo. It does get a bit of wonky dispersion, and sometimes it is pretty bad, but from my experience with the Nelson, the guns are pretty accurate, especially, again, for a tier 7 battleship. Now, this is where it gets really good. The HE, of course, it's a British battleship, and this ship fully embraces that. 6,900 maximum HE shell damage, with a 46% chance of causing a fire and 102 millimeters of pin. And this right here is where the Nelson shines. Because it doesn't matter if you're a tier 7 ship in a tier 9 game, or a tier 7 ship in a tier 7 game. HE is going to burn the target no matter what. Well, the fires are going to burn the target, and this ship's very good at setting fires. 46% chance of starting a fire on a 9-gun battleship. With a 30-second reload time, too. And do keep in mind, too, with the way that this ship eats damage, and if you take Adrenaline Rush, which I highly recommend you do on the Nelson, you're going to easily have a 25-second reload time in a very short time in this ship, spewing this levels of HE out. So this ship is easy to farm damage in. The only reason I left this ship off of my top 5 money-making ships list is because she wasn't available at the time, and I still wouldn't really count up for auction available, but she is a very good moneymaker for this HE right here. Considering this ship can see tier 9 ships, and it can get that double up tiered economic boost to its income with HE that's this good at setting fires, this good at doing damage. She's a real moneymaker. Now her AP is also very good as well. She has the short fuse British BB AP on 16-inch guns, which lets you have a 12,000 maximum damage rating on these AP shells. And since they're short fused, this thing is fantastic for just removing cruisers from the equation. You will be citadeling cruisers for days, especially those tier 7 to tier 6 cruisers. And of course, well, tier 8 cruisers as well. You won't be blapping them as much, but I mean, tier 8 light cruiser with this isn't going to have a good day after you shove some 16-inch AP into its sides. Now, when you're up tiered and you can see other tier 7 battleships whose bows you don't care about because you have 16-inch guns, she's great for that too. I mean, you won't be citadeling them like you would with like an Iowa or something like that because, again, the short fuse AP, but you will be chunking them for plenty of damage as well. So the guns on the Nelson are absolutely sweet. The way they're set up too, it's some like it, some don't. I like it because at tier 7 you can stay bow in and keep most of your guns on target. Now when you do get up tiered to those tier 8 and tier 9 games where there's plenty of ships with guns large enough to overmatch your 26mm bow, you can't really do that, but you can stay angled enough on the side to where they will bounce off of your sides. If you're very, very, very aware of your surroundings, you can pull this off quite easily, but there's a very fine line between you bouncing those shells off of your sides and eating citadels. You typically will be using mostly your front 2 guns in up-tiered situations, but if need be, you can bring that third turret around, and thankfully, unlike the Gizmo, the third turret is facing in the correct direction, so you don't have to wait for it to go all the way around like you do on the Gizmo just to go from the left side of your ship to the right side of your ship. It just tucks under turret number 2, and there she is, which also means when you do have to run away, the Nelson can shoot very comfortably over its shoulder. Very, very, very comfortably because of these turret angles. It's a big downfall of the ship that there's not a turret in the back, so you can't just keep your stern on the enemy while you're sailing away from them. But in, again, a situation where you're facing tier 8 and tier 9 ships, you can't do that anyway because they're going to overmatch your stern armor, so you don't really have to worry about doing that. You can bring those turrets to bear quite easily. So overall, I'd say the firepower here is excellent. It's a lovely set of guns to have at tier 7, and again with the great HE, the great chance of starting a fire, it's not a huge deal when you're up tiered from a firepower point of view, but of course with the armor, it is a huge deal when you do get up tiered. She does have some secondary guns, not worth building into. It's not a secondary ship by any stretch of the imagination, although the secondaries do pick up a kill here in this match that you're watching. It's something when they pick them up. Alright, AA defense, it's not good. It's a 1920s battleship, and they didn't bolt much AA to this thing back then, and they didn't bolt any extra AA to this thing, well, any significantly extra bits of AA to this thing in the game. It's not going to be mowing down planes anytime soon. Even if you're with another AA ship, you better hope it's an actual AA ship that you're with, because you're not bringing much to the table when it comes to AA. Alright, maneuverability, its speed is capped at 25.2 knots with the speed flag equipped, which is slow. I mean, it's faster than the American battleships, so you can jog by them as they're slowly walking around the battlefield, but that's about it. Better hope there's nothing too fast on the flank, because you ain't running away from it, boy. It's going to catch you. Turning circle radius of 750 meters and rudder shift time of 14.9 seconds. It's an okay-ish rudder shift time. It's fairly maneuverable when you are having to swing your ship around. Concealment 13.4 kilometers. That's with concealment expert on as well. It ain't that great either, especially when your firing range is 18.2 kilometers. So it's not a stealthy ship. You're not going to be hiding like the other British battleships. And that brings us to its box o' gimmicks, and it doth have a gimmick. So the Nelson gets a mini Conqueror hill. This hill is powerful enough to bring you from the brink of death to around 40% of your ship's HP. It is a wonderful hill, and it helps out so much with the Nelson's armor layout. It prints back 1425 HP per second and is active for 22 seconds. Reloads in 76 seconds, and you can get 4 consumables with the, 4 charges with the Superintendent or Discount Superintendent, whatever it's called now, in the American Battleship. Battleship skill tree, American Battleship skill. What am I even saying there? In the skill tree, if you take that skill, you get 4 charges of it, which is a lot. It's a lot. It's enough to essentially print 2 more Nelson, which you're going to need that in the Nelson. So that does mean when you do get up tier to those 8 and 9 games, you can eat dirt through the face and not really care, because you've got another Nelson. You got 2 more Nelsons in your pocket. So that helps out the ship tremendously. And you do get to see a bit of that in this match too. There's a point when I'm being harassed by a submarine, and I'm just eating torpedo after torpedo. It's like, oh, okay, that's cute. Here's my new Nelson. after you hit the T button. It's great for that. It's such a huge thing that the ship rests on. And obviously, too, it is a gimmick. It could potentially be patched out in the future, but this ship's been around for quite some time, and they haven't really touched it much at all, so it's a safe bet to say it's probably going to be here for, I'd say, the rest of this game's existence. So that's something you'll be falling back on a lot. Now, for other consumables, that's it. It gets damage con. No, nothing else. No spotter, no fighter, no hydro, no radar, nothing. You get the super heal, and you get a damage con. That's active for 16.5 seconds with the flag, and reloads at 76 seconds. That's it. That's all you get. I mean, it's a really big gimmick to have, but that's all you got in terms of consumables. So, how does Nelson do in today's World of Warships? Well, after playing this ship, I played, I think, about 6 games of this ship just to get some background footage for you guys, some decent background footage from you guys, and, well, I mean, it still feels like Nelson. It still performs about the same. It's just in higher tiers more often than not now. I mean, playing these games for you guys, I got 4 games in tier 8 games. I had 1 tier 9 game, and then I had 1 tier 7 game. So that did mean that I was able to use the Nelson's HE and farm down quite a few tier 8 ships and get a little over 500,000 credits. I don't think I'm even running full signal flags in. I'm not running special signal flags in the Nelson. I'm just running the normal economic flags. So without special signal flags, I was easily able to get over 500,000 credits in those tier 8 games, doing around 100,000 damage. The match you're watching right now did a little bit more than that, and apparently wasn't enough though. I don't think I got as many kills in this game as I did in those other games, which is saying a lot because I think I got 3 kills in this game, and in the other games I was getting around 4 kills, which, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but when you have guns that can set a fire essentially every salvo, and you got fires on 2 or 3 different ships, and yours happens to be the one that ticks them down, yeah, it's, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. And you can never load AP in the Nelson and easily get over 100,000 damage every game. Easily. It is that good. That's how good the HE is. Now, the AP, again, it's no slouch either. You don't want to sleep on the Nelson's AP. If a cruiser shows you broadside, by all means, load AP and remove the man from this planet. Which, that means you should probably take the expert loader skill with the commanders, or gunfeeder. I think that's what it's called now. I don't, because I'm okay with just firing the HE that's in the tubes, because, I mean, it's going to do probably 10 to 12k to whatever it is you're shooting, and set a couple of fires. So by all means, just throw that at them, and then you've got AP loaded up next, and then you just remove the man's internal machinery bits in the next salvo. I mean, I could see why you'd want to run it, but both ammunition types on this ship are so dang good. Just shoot what you got in the tubes at him. It's going to sink him one way or the other. But yes, using the AP is I would say a must to be a good Nelson player. So that boils down to, is it worth throwing a pile of doubloons at to get? Well, 375,000 free XP is what this ship cost back in the day. It's been removed. It does perform very well now. Like I just told you guys, I've been getting around 500,000 credits in it, just running the normal economic flags and the premium camo that it comes with, and just its ability to farm picks up for that. Is this going to print you the same amount of credits as like a Missouri or a Jean Bart, or if you want to pick some of the tier 9 premiums that we have, the Azuma, the Marco Polo, or any other tier 9 premium, or heck, even the ships I was talking about on my list on, was it last Monday? Is it going to print you that many credits? No, because it is a tier 7. And sure, you can get into the tier 9 games, and you can easily farm those ships. So now you're running to the situation of, okay, you're in tier 9 games now. These ships have much more range than you do, so you have to get within range. Meanwhile, a tier 9 premium ship, you know, it's a tier 9 premium. If it's one of the ones that I was mentioning in either my previous top 5 farming ships list or the one for Monday. Those ships, in my opinion, they can hold their own when they get double up tiered or up tiered. The Nelson, yeah, it can do it, but those ships are better, and you know that you're going to be able to buy one tomorrow. With the Nelson, you don't know if you're going to be able to get it until you get it, and the only way to be sure that you're going to get it is to throw an absolute crap ton of doubloons at the auction. I would say a safe bet for the minimum successful bid on this ship would probably be around 20,000 doubloons, roughly double what the minimum bid is. And for 20,000 doubloons, I mean, you can get the key with the Kobayashi camo for I think a little over 21,000 doubloons if you want to do the math on that. And that's a ship that performs well at Tier 8, Tier 9, and Tier 10. It's got the range, it's got 16-inch guns, it's got the armor that the Nelson doesn't have. Like, sure, the Nelson can perform well when it gets double up tier to Tier 9, but something like the Key would be a better performer when it gets double up tier, because the jump from Tier 8 to Tier 10 is much less of a shocking jump than the power jump from Tier 7 to Tier 9. Again, like the Key can't get its bow overmatched by 16-inch guns like the Nelson can. You got the Kobayashi camo to throw the additional economic boost on top of that the Nelson doesn't have. So I think that would be your better option if you want a ship for pure farming and credit printing purposes. But it's not like the Nelson's a bad ship. If you think this ship right here that I've gone over today, I've gone over the stats, I've gone over the characteristic stuff, I've gone over how it performs in today's World of Warships, and it does still perform quite well. If you think that's worth 20,000 doubloons, then I'd say go for it. And if you don't get the Nelson, you will get those 20k dubs back, then you can go spend that on whatever you wish. But at the end of the day, for the average Joe, I don't think dumping 20k into this one ship would be worth it. If you can net it for like 15, I think that's a good price. But I doubt that'll be the situation. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm just giving you guys advice, and what you do with that is up to you. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hope you have a wonderful week. We're on our way to 35,000 subs. We just passed 34,400 today, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Again, hope you guys have a wonderful week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.